Hey guys, and welcome to the Igloo, and today we're going to be covering a little bit something different than I normally do in Fallout 76, and that is literally what I've been talking about prior. So I've mentioned multiple times in multiple videos that I've covered Conan Exiles and the exploit hunted on over there, as well as DayZ standalone, and made my own content and everything else. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of info. So when I'm doing most of these builds that I have about 25 different characters now that are pretty much all level 50 in one way, shape, or form. Not all builds have panned out to the best regard, and some others I found very interesting things, as well as looking through different communities, different raider communities, and everything else. So when you're calling me an exploiter and all this other stuff, it's because I personally put the time in to actually find these things out. So if I mention them in a video, I've had them work for me at one specific point because of how buggy the game is. So, as everybody should know, that these are the things that people don't really know about when it comes to these exploits slash bugs that are in the game, whether it's caused inadvertently, that came up on this patch 6 update, or something else like that, or just in regard, it's just a lot of things. So we're gonna be like this. All right, the pool hook, you know that little Captain Jack Sparrow hook? It works for unarmed as well as one-hand ability perk cards. Okay, it's very overpowered in a lot of cases, and people don't really know that it has been working for both cards for the longest time that I've been really working with. Barbarian does not work properly, okay, when it comes to power armor, like I mentioned in the last video. There is a few exploits slash bugs that have been in the game that have made it work since patch 2, okay? I haven't been able to recover all these things because there's so many things that have been broken about this game in the first place. Martial artist is not working as intended because it shouldn't be translating to the Gatling gun as well. Just like I put in my videos prior with covering the Gatling gun in its first place, that I didn't really show off the perk card. But people dub that as a feature. It's not supposed to be transpired to heavy weapons on top of everything else. So, we're going to have the hard cap. So, incisor. So, in most cases that I've seen is that there's an 80 to 85% cap for what you can do to actually penetrate through armor when it comes to using perks or abilities that are using for armor pen. So there's a hard cap, just as there is for other things. And I've noticed that you can't 100% go through an armor piece or go through an ability or something like that, because I've seen it multiple times in the game, as well as my own personal testing. If you want to do it, go for it, because this is what I've had in my own findings and all the bugs that I've been encountering, as well as exploits that I've been encountering, just nonchalantly making these characters and everything else. So if you've been saying, no, you've been doing this kind of stuff, or you've been giving me emails or PMs like some people, and I'm not going to put you on blast because of what you've been trying to do, because of your own rage reactions when it comes to this game. I can't help it that this game is chock filled with exploits and bugs to the point that it's literally a funny shit list that I'm making for this video. So let's go to the next one. Bullet shield does not work properly, on top of a few other things. Yeah, bullet shield is really bad in a lot of cases, and I would chalk that up as a bug. Alright, so we're going to go to the next one. Concentrated fire negates full assassin sentinel while using Vats for ranged weapons in its entirety. So the reason why that this has worked, and I've said this in multiple videos, is that it targets one piece of armor. Okay, and that is actually considered an exploit from Bethesda on top of everything else. Why? Because you're negating 4/5 of the armor and the abilities of having that full set. So you're like, yeah, whatever. It's going to be helping dealing with those Assassin Sentinel people, which I've said multiple times. You can even have a level 15 weapon to negate it, as long as you have a Vats ability to target somebody. But there's also a few other exploits that are on this list that can negate that as well, because people use exploits in this game, just like any other game that has been developed. Okay, so we're going to go to the next ones. All right, so you have Chameleon. In patch 4 through 6, if triggered in friendly fire, with a melee weapon before a fight, you can make yourself invisible forever for every other engagement on that server. Period. So if you have meleeed one time on your character and you're able to just jump around with cameling, you can just be invisible forever. Okay, I don't know if it works in patch 6, but it's worked prior. So I don't know on how many other things that have been fixed on that. With using adamantium skeleton, you would take no limb damage, but you would still have the effect when you are taking limb damage. Okay, so you still have the animation, which procs you to not be able to do anything in the first place. All right, hot swapping perks when using the mod on PC, okay, will give you the effect for drugs before switching. So this is also another thing. So with this mod is that you can hot swap your perks in succession, and you're able to do it consecutively by having macros. And because you're able to do that, you can actually hot swap macros and abilities in the first place. Not for everything, but I've only seen it work with drugs and with food. Okay, this is not everything like what everybody screams and outrides on the market, that if you have this mod you'll be banned. I'm just like, at the same time, there's reasons why this could be too extreme. And you could hot swap even with weapons if you set up a macro properly on PC, and you can make yourself do ludicrous damage for a short period of time, making those queen fights negatable. And there's also more things about the Scorchbeast Queen that they've actually fucked up in patch 6. So again, like, it doesn't even matter for some things, especially if you're on console. So we're going to be going to, like, the next thing. You can trigger Revenant yourself, and this is going to be later on in the list yourself, and you can be able to duplicate stim packs when you're triggering Revenant with certain perk cards, which is really ludicrous. And that has actually happened to me a few times when I've been doing these fucking goddamn builds. Okay? So, if you're going to be popping butt fists while having any chem with having 1 HP, you can become invulnerable for a short period of time. That happened in patch 4. I don't know if it still works in patch 6, but I haven't tested it in patch 6. Again, I haven't tested some of these things in patch 6, but most of the time they'll be probably procting. And this is just me nonchalantly having 1,000 hours in this goddamn game with multiple accounts. I don't have the highest level. If I was probably a whole level for one thing, I'd probably be level 600, probably 700 at this current state of the game. But I made multiple characters that have different builds for what you guys have been looking for. Okay, so let's go to the next one that I have on my list. Okay, if you can stack inspirational with other perks, with perk 1, 2, and 3, you can actually get a boost before you join onto a team. So if a teammate is sharing a perk card before you join onto a team, it then shows that you joined that, and they can actually stack. So you have perk 1, 2, and 3, and they can all stack with inspirational. Don't know if it works with patch 6. Don't know at all. Don't know what they fixed exactly, because they don't put everything in the patch notes in its entirety when you've been doing this kind of stuff. You can become unkillable with friendly fire if you use the flamer perk. So there's a flamer perk like TF2, and if you use that with another teammate as well as a few other things, you can make yourself pretty unkillable. Strange in numbers tied with many other things can also make you unkillable on top of everything else. First aid perk in intelligence can work with the perk Team Medic, so you can actually heal yourself while you are healing your other teammates while you're being revived on top of this as well. Flicking some perk cards could make them stack their effects or crash your game. I've had this happen multiple times when I've been working on a few different instances. If a weapon is repaired over 200%, it does more damage. Or if it's like the Ripper, it just goes completely insane, and you can have so much tick damage for consecutive damage between the Ripper and Mr. Handy, which I've made videos for, at least the Mr. Handy before I make a video for my Bloodied Ripper. Evasive could work in power armor just like Barbarian can, because it is a exploit problem with the power armor. I made that video so that I can help you guys to fight Assassin Sentinel PvPers that think that they're unkillable and they aren't unkillable because of they are using different exploits in its entirety to keep themselves to be unkillable as well. There's a few other things that are tied into that, but I digress. So, Sneak, and all cards with Sneak since patch 5 have been broken. I've noticed multiple times that they broke Sneak, that you couldn't use proper Sneak, and even with max Sneak, with all the perk cards and everything else, that it would not work at all, period. So they still have not fixed it in patch 6, and people were just like, what the fuck is going on? I can't have my Sneak build like I had since patch 4, patch 3, patch 2, patch 1. Like, it's ludicrous that you can't sneak in a Fallout game, and it's kind of dumb. So if you equip or de-equip Secret Agent, you lose the Stealth Boy. So that's another thing that's pretty annoying, and it's just like if you immediately do it, you just lose it in its entirety. So Mystery Meat and Super Duper stack, and it gets crazy, and you'd be like, what the hell am I going to do with all this meat? It's not even crazy. So if you have Dry Nurse, Revenant, and Mysterious Saver tacked in with, Emergency Protocol, you can make yourself unkillable, and having that Revenant perk triggering all the time with a couple mutations put together. I don't know how the combinations are, because they've also broke mutations on this patch as well. So here's the other thing that has been like really annoying for me. The crit fail meter has been broken since launch. Okay, I've known about this since launch, and as a person that has been exploit hunting, I think that this is the biggest joke out of everything. So in order for you to break this, all you have to do is fill your crit meter, press spacebar, and then get out, and then go back into Vats again. You will always have your crit meter filled, and it will always do damage. It won't hear the noise beep, 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 boop, boop, but it'll do it at all times, at every time, okay? And this is like completely insane. And I'm like, why is this still a thing? And and by the way, this affects PvP too, because criticals affect PvP on top of everything else. I've had so many videos that I've had it going in the background because it's the thing that has been happening in Fallout 76. And you might be like, oh, you've been exposing all this. I've been saying and pronunciating this. People that know about my other things, I've been like hinting, like lowball hinting to like Bethesda to fix these things, because there's so many different issues when it comes to this. And I'm not even done yet. I'm not even done yet. So, patch 5, now fixed, when loading onto a server with your Pip-Boy for PC. We're going to get into that later. You can now randomly have your character be invisible forever because of server's instability issues. Multiple people have listed on their Reddits, as well as other kind of issues, where you join onto a server, you start on in your power armor, you're like, yes, I have my power armor, I am now invisible forever, and they find it annoying. And most other people think that that is an advantage, but at the same time, it's only for that client. But then there's also another one that you can be invisible forever with being everywhere else, and then you can see yourself normal. It's so weird, and it's a server instability issue on top of everything else. So you're thinking that I'm going to be enunciating all these exploits and everything? No, it's just like this is like ludicrous. Like, this is what I've just passively discovered throughout time, as well as just playing the fucking game. And then people are just like, you're an exploiter. I'm like, this game is filled with exploits and fucking bugs and everything else. Do you think I just naturally come upon this all the time? When I'm making these builds for you guys on YouTube, you don't know on how many things that I'm just like, yo, my God, this is giving me a goddamn headache. Okay? And I'm just trying to preach the fucking truth for you guys. All right. So then there was also the other one with the other invisible thing, where I would have a floating head and a floating gun. So if you trigger, and let's say you go invisible, right? And you swap to another weapon, it now becomes de-invisible. Same thing is if you're in photo mode, while you're invisible, that your head just wants to fucking float. It's dumb on top of everything else. So when you're re-equipping weapons while getting into power armor, that you have to re-equip the weapons already in the first place. And this is especially an issue on consoles on top of everything else, where you jump into power armor, you're in mid-fight. Yeah, I'm going to get into a fight. No, I'm going to use my fists. It's dumb, where it just de-equips all your weapons. Weapon weight reduction perks. Still, So there's the legendary mod that comes to it, and it's a weapon weight reduction, and you can't reduce it down to 100%, but you can reduce it down to a complete entirety. So you can make your weapon like pretty weightless with like a full set, or with a perk card with it, with like a piece or two of armor, so you don't have to use that kind of perk. Well, the legendary mod effect does not work apparently on patch 6 on PC for some people, and it's really weird, and it's very inconsistent. And that's going for weapon weight reduction perks now work inconsistently for some users with bad connections on the data center to connect the AWS services. It's so funny that any kind of weight manipulation data point that is in this game is just so fucking wonky because the server doesn't know, like, do you use this? Do you not use it? Do you use it? Do you not? It's so fucking weird that it's been doing this for so long, especially with legendary suffixes on top of it. It's unbelievable on how much stuff. So that goes with weapon, the weight of a character just by standing there or just logging in again. Their weight will still like fluctuate. Like when it comes to their carry weight, it's I don't even know why this is still a thing. It's such a network problem that they're still having it to patch 6, and it happens inconsistently. Meat piles still cause instability to servers because the amount of loaded per each generation for each character is still causing server lag issues. This is especially true in White Springs when you have so many fucking meat piles and you've been grinding the fuck out of that area, that it just causes so much server instability because it has to load not only every meat pile, okay, it has to load every person's, if they tagged glowing one or whatever, they have to load up its own loot table for each person, and then on top of it, like, it just goes nutty there, and the timer stays there for so long for these meat piles, but then when you go to the queen, it still goes away as a meat pile pretty fucking quickly compared to other types of like 3-star legendaries that you should be having, which again, it makes no sense. And I haven't been doing the Scorch Beast Queen yet, but people have been, there's just so much. And then stuck while respawning after death is still a thing on top of everything else when it comes to it. Stuck having longer load times after joining servers after patch 6. Randomly stop doing damage randomly in nuke zones. Okay, so this ties into a few other things with this. One, if you did not complete the Enclave event, like, and you haven't like started doing like killing the legendaries just yet, there are some creatures inside the prime nuke zone that you cannot do damage to. And if you did them, then you're fine. But if you didn't do those specific events for killing the Scorch Beast characters or legendary characters to that point, damage will not be affecting some of the animals that are inside the prime zone as well. And people haven't, I've noticed this because I've leveled up characters so many goddamn times that it's unbelievable. And people are just like, yeah, it's not a problem. It's just like, yeah, I know it's a problem because I've been doing this multiple times for leveling up new characters, and I've been knowing this for a while, so it's not really an issue. It's been like that since patch 1. Let's see, adrenaline reaction is being lost when you relog at patch 6. Adrenaline reaction has different values, so if you took a legacy, mutation from patch 5, patch 4, patch 3, whatever, okay, and then you go into patch 6, if you don't have patch 6's adrenaline reaction, it is buggy. Bethesda knows this as well, and they are thinking of a fix. So if you have a build that actually resumptuates around adrenaline reaction, it's really bad, okay? And you can't really do anything about it because it's just like, it just doesn't work. And you have all the negative effects to adrenaline reaction, but none of the positive effects, which is completely and utterly stupid that they're still breaking things for almost every patch that they've been doing, and they still haven't had a test fucking like server side, which they should be having on top of everything else, just like for what Conan Exiles did before, that they had test servers They had a test update so they can get out these little kinks and widgets, because what happens internally in their internal build of Fallout 76 does not resumptuate to merging it to the new one, the new updated for the main public to actually have. And this is why people, especially in MMOs, have always had problems with internal versus external public official builds. Okay, very important. Okay, so you would have to reapply Adrenaline Reaction. Pip-Boy, you do not have the movement, and it's affecting users on Xbox and PS4. So when you're loading in, it's still affecting Xbox and PS4 users, not to the extent to what PC users happen when you were able to get in. Alt weapon switching is broken on a controller. If you're using the Confederate top hat, the price is 35 caps now for one cloth material if you have the plans required, which is pretty OP for vendors. It's not really a bug or an exploit, but it's pretty bad. Death mod plans are no longer in vendors in patch 6, so you were able to get like these mods that were pretty OP because Dents is actually able to reduce explosive damage when it comes to ranged PvP engagements for players. This is why I've been very adamant on my Assassin Sentinel builds and these different types of builds that are for these OP characters, because the Dense mod is so effective with this kind of attribute that it's really crazy. So we're going to be going down to camp duplication still works. It has been confirmed. People have been getting duplicate items still in patch 6 for moving their camp. They said they fixed it, but they didn't. Okay. When teleporting, you have the possibility for your teammate to be invisible, and you can't see your teammate, but other people can. It's dumb. Okay, like not even having the invisible effect, just completely invisible. You see their name floating, but that's pretty much it. When teleport, yeah, that's the one I just read. Console, you can have immune HP for the last quarter of your health. So, if you're fighting the Scorchbeast Queen, you can be like killing the Queen on console. And you might have, in patch 6, her last 1/3 of her health not working whatsoever. This is a report from Reddit than it is from my own fucking mouth. Okay? All duplication methods will still work when it comes to crashing the server, but your account will be flagged. Okay? They say that they're fixing it, but there's many different ways to crash a server when it comes to it. And the main principle, like I've said in multiple videos, that there will be a reason and there will always be a way to duplicate items as long as one person can Alt F4, and there's always a 5-minute rollback. You don't need any type of rollback. You need like maybe 30 seconds at most rollback so that people can stop duplicating items in the first place. But when you have a 5-minute rollback for your server, and if your server is having instability issues, there's always going to be that method to always duplicate because it's cooked into your actual network encoding. And it's just such a bad oversight, especially when you're using AWS CloudFront services. They have the best actual CloudFront services on the market, and you're not taking advantage of it because of your software limitations, and this is why it pisses me off. And they have the technology available to them, they just haven't coded it in the first place. So then there's another thing. Most people that don't have 50 gigabytes free cannot like update to the games. Some people on consoles have been having this issue where they had to re-download the game on top of everything else because they don't have the 50 gigabytes free because, again, console players don't really change out their hardware that much and they don't really have a lot of space. So their space is very vital when it comes to like their kind of hard drive space, and having with a very dated launcher kind of stuff, it's not really acceptable. All these other games have known about this kind of stuff and fixed it and have these little like updates that are really like that. It's been great for the PC, but it hasn't been great for the consoles. And again, it's been really like shafting them pretty hard. The Toxic Valley Treasure Map 3 is also bugged as well. Again, these are the ones that I've came across, okay? These are not even every single problem and exploit. These are the ones that I've been coming across, especially with perk cards and perk layouts and doing all the other stuff and making another build and going on from there. These are just mine that I've had, and I know there's probably more out there. So building in multiple places can be inside the map and outside the map. I will probably have a link to somebody's channel. It has been in my Discord as well. He built inside like a building and he showcased it. Like he's been very informative and he's been very nice to me. So it's just like, give it a look, give his video out, but at the same time it's just like, okay, this game has a lot more issues than for what we can see. And personally, and this is what I'm going to tell you, this is a game engine problem with using the same resources from Fallout 4. It's been like this forever. People know that the dragon has been a direct copy and paste from the Skyrim's dragon, Scorchbeast Queen, and the Scorchbeast. And they just slightly modified it to put in this game, as well as a reskin and a retexture, as well as like most of the hash has been coming from Fallout 4, that most of the coding is from the Fallout 4. The dev room is the same as Fallout 4 and everything else. I'm just personally mad when you call me an exploit and a duper and all this other stuff, and I'm telling you, like, look, this is what I can tell you, okay? I inadvertently come across all these exploits just by playing the goddamn game with having almost 1,000 hours between multiple accounts. And I'm not trying to do this in specifically. I just want them to fix it, or at least learn from it, so that their next game doesn't get fucking shit on so much as Fallout 76 does. As a person that really does love Fallout 76, and you can see from all my videos that I make build videos, I do all this other stuff because I genuinely enjoy the game. But when you accuse that I'm exploiting, I'm just like, at the same time, everything has been there since the beginning. You could passively be exploiting yourself and you wouldn't even know the difference between a bug or it's a feature kind of function. As for what a lot of Fallout like fanboys have been calling out for, is that, yeah, it's not a bug, it's a feature. You got to make sure that it's like that on top of everything else. It's not funny. It's not acceptable for any game to be going to this level. Like, my exploit notes that I just have here for my own personal experiences are as long as the actual patch notes for patch 6. And this is not even funny. It's not funny anymore. Like, I love the game. Okay, I still love the game, but like I don't know what's going on with these amount of bugs. I mean, the game has been like almost free to play at this point for most people, and you could probably pick it up for $5 in Poland, and I can get like extra copies like for free at GameStop for console, but I'm on PC, so why do I really need to have extra ones at GameStop? Like, it's I really wish the game would do better, but it didn't. And I'm just saying and venting out my own stuff that I've been showing. But again, I'm still going to be covering Fallout 76. I can't wait until PvP servers, but I don't have the best intent for what they're going to be doing, especially with everything that's been happening. And it's a shame that they haven't been able to fix most of this stuff. And they've been hot banning people and showing YouTubers and banning YouTubers for like telling it on how it is. This game is bad. This game has been broken. This game has exploits. Like, I'm not gonna hide from showing exploits, just like I did in Conan Exiles, just like I did in like DayZ Standalone. I'm not gonna hide it. If you honestly think that I'm a pure person that has been on the market, like, no, I come from a programming background, so I understand why these things are mechanically wrong in these type of games. And I know this is my longer than normal video, but when you are genuinely loving the game, you have to give the game criticism. Otherwise, like, what's the point? What's the point of having it if you don't have no passion? You move to another game. I love Apex Legends. I'm literally still having different videos being ready for Apex Legends, but I wanted to put this out because I love the game so much. And with like over 3,000 people that have subscribed to me for just being on Fallout 76, I give them the merit, and I try to give you guys my personal thoughts and opinions coming from this game in itself, because you guys deserve it. You guys deserve knowing about this stuff, and this hasn't been talked about in the YouTube communities, the YouTube channels that have been like calling themselves Fallout people when they don't really play the game. So I'm just telling you guys that this is pretty bad. If you guys like this kind of stuff, please leave a like, leave a comment down below. I'll be making an Apex Legends video or two when it comes to it, and just giving my personal thoughts. If you guys like this kind of video, have a good one.